Hello, lords and ladies of the realm. My name is Emily Sophia, and I'm going to be walking you guys through the latest of Game of Thrones. So we are on Season 4, Episode 3, and for those of you who might have missed my review from last weekend of the Purple Wedding Extravaganza, then you may certainly feel free to check that out. The link is in the description below. I believe that the video has been blocked in a few countries because of, well, the soundtrack that I used in a certain section in particular. If you guys did get to see that review, I thank you so much for your support and for joining me in the celebration. I was feeling the love, I was feeling just the energy all throughout to the fandom. It was really a great time to be alive. So spoiler alert before we get into the rest of things with tonight's episode, as I will be bearing all in this review. And without further ado, let's kick it. I also tried to kind of wear my Khaleesi blues tonight, okay? In honor of my favorite outfit of hers, one which she so gorgeously sported in tonight's episode. I love the episodes that end with some crazy, victorious Khaleesi moment, because she has had nothing but those since pretty much the get-go. I do love my dear Stormborn mistress, and hers was a very powerful moment tonight. I find it interesting too that she wears this blue color. If we're thinking about color symbolism, women like her could easily be sporting a rich purple or a red to kind of represent her passion as the breaker of chains, you know, but I like the blue because the blue has this sort of energy and peace. It's sort of ironic because ultimately she's gearing up to take the world by storm, but part of her vision in that process is by creating this sort of peace through ending slavery. You know, creating peace by building an army of free men. So there's all these dichotomies that are going on at the same time there, but let me try and walk you guys through everything that happened in tonight's episode, and please do feel free to fill in the blanks or anything that I might have accidentally screwed up, seen wrong. I'm more than willing to be corrected, providing that you do so in a way that is kind. I'm totally down for it. So let's get into it. We begin the episode with the flight of our beloved Sansa Stark, okay? So she's making off with the Fool, the Joker, and the Thief of the Night. So they're breaking forth. Cersei is still bent over Joffrey's body. She is screaming, throwing that Cersei-style tantrum to get what she wants done. And Tywin himself is closing up all the ports. Ain't nobody getting out of this system alive. However, Sansa's just so happened to slip through the cracks out onto the water, and just as we think that she is possibly entering a new world of wonder and magic, something that she certainly deserves after everything that she's put up with, we find that she is in the arms of none other than Peter Baelish, our dear little finger, who's kind of been out of the main picture for a time. But see, that's the thing about that guy. He's always in the woodwork. He is always putting his mind to something. His machinations are those that are, well, just outside the periphery, and yet controlling everything that happens within. So now that he's got Sansa, what exactly is his mission there? And I will also clarify too that I have not read the books, so these speculations that I make may in fact be things that you are already familiar with, but I am not. So I sit here with question marks above my head and I try to shoot down as many as I can, but this show surprises at pretty much every angle, and I enjoy being surprised in watching the show as much as I do want to read the novels too. So, we'll see what's going on. Freaking little finger, always working his way through things, and I really hope that this spells out something better for Sansa. And yet I know better than to anticipate that anybody's gonna get better than what they've gotten. We just kind of have that precedent, you know, so I'm trying not to get my hopes too sky high in that department. In the meanwhile, we switch back to King's Landing, and we see that the ladies, Tyrell, are having a little chit-chat about the recent devastating events that have ensued. Marjorie seems to have a moment of insecurity about her marriage track record, and rightly so. Pretty much every guy that she has formally tied the knot with has ended up with their souls tied in knots, and essentially they are no more. Of course, we do wonder if this discussion, if there are certain innuendos or feigned innocence going on, especially as Lady Elena says to Marjorie that you did wonderful work on Joffrey. Does that refer to merely Marjorie's surface level manipulation of Joffrey and kind of courting his interests and trying to get his favor? Or does that refer to other things of which both, or perhaps even maybe just one of them, is aware? And if it's gonna be just one of them, if we are abiding by the assumption or theory that the Tyrells are behind what happened to Joffrey, then Lady Elena is going to be your go-to girl. She is the one with the bigger picture, and she's not afraid to make that a malevolent one. So my initial theory was that it was the Tyrells. However, there are a lot of different schools of thought on the situation. Some are thinking it's the Martells, Oberyn. I think that it's safe to say that both Tyrion and Cersei are down for the count in this situation. However, I'm starting to wonder if perhaps Tywin might have been involved. I don't know. I don't know if that's a little bit too far-fetched. Is anybody feeling me on that? I'm starting to wonder. I still think that the Tyrells have their own interests as far as things go with the Lannisters, but at the same time, something that we saw a lot in this episode was everybody's trying to make alliances, and so are these alliances being made in light of recent atrocities committed by one of the parties? Or what's the deal? All that we know, as Sansa iterated in this episode and Peter Baelish reminded her, we are surrounded by liars in this corner of the universe. So, I can't quite tell you what all is happening, but that is what keeps us in the game, okay? So, next we move along to Joffrey's funeral. A relatively unceremonious little procession. I kind of expected something bigger and extravagant to follow, you know, a burial and all of that, as extravagant as the way that he went down at his own wedding. And perhaps there will be more of that in upcoming episodes as well, but really the action was sort of focused around the altar that he was placed on, or whatever you would like to refer to that resting place. So we see that Cersei is deep in mourning while Tywin is getting the next Lannister in line for the throne, all primed and ready for the position that he is about to take. And they go through an interesting little discussion, you know, what are the traits that make a king, a truly potent leader. So it goes through earliness, justice, and strength. But what do we come to? What, in the eyes of Grandpa Tywin, is the key to the kingdom? And that would be wisdom, something which Joffrey himself lacked and made him a very poor ruler, in case any of you weren't aware. I'm not going to disagree with Tywin in that matter, by no means. So I found I was kind of trying to pick at these little hints with Tywin. I really enjoy him as a character. There's a lot of fun subtext to him to read, things that are making me begin to question what his role might really have been in what occurred with Joffrey. And if what I'm starting to suspect could possibly be a thing, then I owe you one, buddy. I really do. I owe you a good back scratch. You can redeem this digital, imaginary, invisible coupon at some point, if and when it comes down to you being the one who is pegged for what occurred. But I don't know. I'm open to pretty much anything and everything. Still waiting on CSI to see what they're gonna find in the lab. We'll see. We'll see what comes of things. And then, of course, as soon as everybody departs, we are down to Circe and Jaime and their son, who lies before them lifeless, leaving Circe in shambles and leaving Jaime sexually frustrated to the point that he decides to take care of that in a sickeningly swift instant. He is raping his sister over the shallow grave of their son, following him decrying that the gods have made him love a hateful woman, and Circe is constantly screaming that this isn't right, this isn't right. And yet, there it is going down for those of us who were starting to get a little bit, you know, keeping our rose-colored glasses on as far as Jaime was concerned. I was really starting to enjoy him more as a character, especially in his interactions with Brienne and the way that they support one another. It seemed as if he was starting to turn a new leaf. But this guy was getting sexually denied and denied and denied. That does not excuse his actions, particularly in this set of circumstances, but it's something I feel like I should have seen coming. Really should have. And so I'm sitting here feeling awkward and disturbed and very much in need of a bath or 2 or 12. Good Lord. Them two was twisted, and I'm feeling really bad for Circe. It's been a long time since I really felt any kind of pity in my heart for that woman, but in that instant, there was no kind of thing right about that situation. And there is nothing else to it. So we'll see what kind of aftermath follows. I mean, at the beginning of their intimate exchanges, she was kind of allowing herself into it, trying to seek comfort. But then, I mean, the crux of the matter is the fact that she was demanding that Jaime seek vengeance for their son by killing Tyrion. Jaime's not exactly into that. In fact, Tyrion was one of the only guys who really gave him a warm welcome wagon when he returned from his harrowing, unexpected journey. So I don't think that he's really in a comfortable position about that, and later on we see that Tyrion is trying to seek Jaime's support as well. So here he is in the situation where he is being asked to do the impossible, and also wanting to bone the lady who's asking him to do it. So this puts him in a weird array of circumstances that leads us to the uncomfortable event that we are all going to try to forget. And then we switch over to what's going on with the Hound and Arya. And as much as I was enjoying their little partnership as they're wreaking havoc around the world and trying to work their way about, we are reminded that the Hound is in things for the money, for the chang-lang. And despite Arya's being a very good liar and finding themselves a little bit of shelter with a farming family out in the relatively wilderness-ish land, things get turned around pretty quickly as the Hound refuses to play the game. He's kind of got this Darwinian mindset, survival of the fittest. This guy and his little daughter are not going to survive, so there's no sense in the, you know, performing fair work for fair wages. He puts up the front initially, but unfortunately Arya has to wake up to her fake father making off with the money and her realizing that, this dude is not the most savory of company. Despite the bonding time that they had before, they've got ways to go before they're really on the same wavelength. And I dare say that I don't think that they're gonna get there per se, but it's really interesting to see how those characters bounce off of one another. In other news, I am 110% rooting for you, my dearest little Stark. Knock 'em dead, by all means. She's got my heart. We are on the same wavelength, if nothing else. So feel that as the slightest sliver of comfort for you as you're putting up with your protector / miscreant of Guardian. Best of luck to them. We'll see where fate leads these two next. But we head back to the wall. We see that Sam is trying to protect Gilly. He fears for her purity, especially being in an area of, well, a lot of sexually frustrated men in this radius. And as we saw with the Jaime and Circe situation, those tensions surmount. things happen. And so Sam, in his infinite tenderness, attempts to get Gilly to a place where she might be protected from these men in the urges that they are, you know, they're basically ticking time bombs. In his eyes, he tries to send her to Molestown, I think that's what the place is called. Really doesn't seem like a 5-star resort for his beloved lady, and she's not exactly happy about the change of scenery either. She was kind of holding her own at Castle Black, really. But Sam feels that in the duties that he has in this place, he's unable to protect her in the way that he desires. So he's trying to make it happen, give the guy a little bit of credit, but I have to say that I would not feel super comfortable leaving my significant other in a place of that caliber as well. So hopefully some good will come of that situation. And then we head on back to Dragonstone, where frustrated Stannis the Manus is trying to connive his way to the throne, of which he is to be the true owner. And so he and Davos, is that how you pronounce it? I swear that I come up with a new pronunciation every single time. It's quite bad. If a name on a show is not repeated a good 10,000 times, I will keep missing the mark repeatedly, so I apologize for that. But anyway, so Davos is kind of trying to approach things from a more pragmatic perspective as far as how they are going to get armies now that they know about the death of Joffrey. How are they going to take advantage of the situation? So when it comes to their two ideologies, of course, it is a clash between prophecy and militancy. Which one's going to win over? Then we also have a little exchange with Davos and Stannis' daughter, who continues to tutor him and refine his mighty skills. After some conversations that they have, Davos sparks a little bit of an idea that he is going to channel through Stannis' daughter, having her write a letter in his name. So we'll see what exactly is going on here. I really enjoy Davos's character and the way that he is kind of progressed over the course of the series, and I'm starting to get that feeling that I'm going to feel bad if something happens to him, and that is a dangerous thing, because I should know that that means something's going to happen to him. Anyways, that is that situation. So we get a little bit of a glimpse at the Martell family as they kind of explore their bisexuality, and Oberyn reveals his own personal philosophy when it comes to his love life. He will pick a side when it comes to the sword, but when it comes to what he does in bed, he shall not pick a side, because beauty is beauty. And that seems to really fit his personality and character that we have seen so far. And of course, somebody from the Lannisters has to come in and, you know, turn on the lights, break the party up. So Tywin is there to strike up a deal with Oberyn, and he is going to put him on the council and as one of the judges in Joffrey's trial, after they do a little bit of verbal jousting about Oberyn's potential involvement in what occurred with Joffrey. And of course, Oberyn by no means attempts to conceal his disdain for Tywin and the Mount, who, under Tywin's orders, kill his sister, etc., etc. But all these tensions are turned around into some kind of unsteady alliance, which in Tywin's eyes is a very political move, and we'll see what exactly that is going to mean for Oberyn as well. And are there any of you who still think that he might have been the guy as with what occurred with Joffrey? I mean, I heard a lot of people saying that last week, but the openness about the whole situation, about Oberyn's knowledge of poisons, and poison being the thing that killed Joffrey, they're bringing all this stuff out into the open, and I feel that if he was truly the perpetrator, that they would kind of hold those things off for an even greater reveal later on. So, I don't know exactly what is going down, but, you know, we are seeing that these alliances are popping up left and right, and we'll see which ones are toxic and which ones get the job done. This is pretty much going to swing one way or the other. Then we see the plight of Tyrion. He's conversing with his squire, trying to figure out exactly who can represent him in the trial that is about to ensue, and pretty much everybody has either been called to Cersei's side or is unable to represent Tyrion. And of course, Sansa's disappearance doesn't bode well for Tyrion either. So basically, he is between Arock and the hardest of hard places, and I'm a little bit nervous for him, but also kind of excited to see how the trial goes down, because I feel like that is going to be executed in a very exciting and deliciously, anything ranging from passive-aggressive to full-on raging aggressive on the scale. We're going to see a lot of action, I feel, with this trial, being that there are a lot of emotions behind it, a lot of big players coming to the stand, and we'll see who is going to stay loyal to who. Tyrion is trying to protect the life of his squire, who does not want to cross Tyrion, but at this point, he's basically just trying to hold down the fort and make sure that he can protect anyone whose fate he could possibly impact. He asks about Shay, you know, etc., etc. So, best of luck to you, buddy. The odds are stacked, but you have worked your way out of some gnarly situations in days past, so I'm trying again. It's the art of trying not to get my hopes up too high, lest the fall and the impact at bottom shake my world up even further. It's this delicate balance of being invested in things, being in that moment and having hope, and being prepared. This show is teaching me the art of pragmatism, even when my heart is raging against it. So there's that, and we see that the wildlings are attacking, having teamed up with the less than savory cannibals. Things are going down. News gets back to Castle Black. The question is, do they focus on shoring up at the CB, Castle Black, protecting the wall, or are they going to try to go out and confront the wildlings and meet them before further atrocities occur, as they pretty much go through this scorched earth policy of breaking down every village that they come across as they make their way to this ultimate war. So there's that situation, and then the men at Craster's place are also under pressure as well and could give away information. So basically they're trying to gear up for their own little war. I have to say it's been a while since we really got to see some serious battles going down. I think I'm itching for another, call me crazy. But this leads us to, last but most certainly not least, Dany's confrontation with Marine, I believe the name is. And so their city champion rides out, takes him a little pissed, and gets his mouth running, and Dany tries to choose among her strapping lads who will represent her side and who is going to get the job done. And she goes through trying to figure out whose life she shouldn't gamble with. Leader of the Unsullied she decides to protect, although he is the first to offer himself. Both of her advisors step forth, and of course friend-zoned Jorah comes forward attempting to lay down his life. And she speaks some very warm words towards him, which I'm thinking he might have taken that to heart a little bit. Can't really help it. The whole deepest friend, dearest confidant is like, can you not see? Of course, the last but not least, the sellsword who steps forward to represent her. He's got the certain charm and scary efficiency to him that is kind of a lethal combination as far as the heart of the Khaleesi is concerned. She keeps up a powerful front, but you know, she's definitely fallen hard for this guy on the inside. She's got her goals set right in front of her, but she's willing to let this guy show what he can do every so often. But still have to say that I do find myself shipping Dany and Jorah. They've had the most longevity of any of her encounters with pretty much anybody else. Her and Khal Drogo turned out to be a beautiful and passionate pairing, despite the uneven beginnings. But I know that's really not the center of things whatsoever, but I can't help but just say. And then this whole battle that is ramped up to be this enormous, brutal clash, it's taken care of in pretty much a heartbeat. This guy steps out, he's got his swagger on, takes out his dagger, he waits as if waiting for this guy to step right over the tripwire, and then takes out the horse. Horse collapses, and in the dust, he's able to slash this guy right down. So, really no contest. And then after that, the Khaleesi delivers her beautiful speech to those whom she is about to liberate, calling them to take action against the child killers whose work we saw along the road to Marine. And then finally, when it appears that she is laying siege to their city, really, she's just showing them a bit of her resume, hands-on style, all the broken shackles, the broken chains. She pretty much coughs right up to him just to say, hey, here's what you can expect if you want to roll with my crew. And I dare say, that's one way to back up a claim, sister, so congratulations on that front. Yet another euphoric Khaleesi moment to end the episode with. I always enjoy those. Leaves me feeling a bit jubilant, as I was last week, just kind of in a different way. So, how did you guys like this week's episode? Please leave all of your thoughts in the comments. I am happy to read them as I get the opportunity. Thank you so much for watching. You were all brilliant and fantastic. Anything I missed, drop it down there too. We'll hash it out together. So, you guys take care of yourselves. And I will be back before you know it.